had a nice first week of the holidays. Um, so I'm going to be beginning a new book for us, Consciousness Unfolding. And I think you will all like it. It's not from 1948. Again, the original unedited, unpublished, and not in copyright anymore, so that's good. We're able to use this material and enjoy it without worries. So thank you all for just being on time, and it's lovely to have you. Consciousness Unfolding, Chapter 1. God is individual consciousness. The unfolding of God is the object of our classwork, the unfolding of your own consciousness, the revelation within your own being, the revelation of your own being. This is not an experience that takes place from me to you. It is an experience that takes place within your own being. The kingdom of God is within you. As a matter of fact, you are the individualization of all that God is. All that I have is thine. So classwork is to reveal the infinite, invisible within you to that part of you which we call the outer or the human being. Of course, it's not a human being at all. It is a divine being. But the world interprets the human scene as a human one, so that what is appearing to the world as a human, as you or as me, is now receiving from within the depth of its own being, the revelation of its true nature. And truth that is true is universal. The impartation then in this work is not the work of the intellect, and your receiving this is not the realm of the intellect. This is divine consciousness revealing itself as individual being. In talking to this class, I'm talking to a state of consciousness on the level of my own, because otherwise you would not be here. And if I were talking down to you, feeling that you know less than I, then I would not be here. The master said, "Those who have ears, let them hear. Those who have eyes, let them see. And as I did not go out seeking you, it must be that you are here. It must be that you who are here are of the same state of consciousness as I am, and ready for the same unfoldment and revelation from mind." None of us could give this truth to just anyone, because the things of God are foolishness with men. Never doubt that for a moment. The things of God are foolishness with men. And if you are in agreement with what we say here tonight, you are merely in agreement with the things of God. On the other hand, to those who have not been led here, those who are not yet ready for this particular unfoldment and revelation of God, what we say tonight would sound foolish and ridiculous. Do not try yourselves to teach this message for at least 1 month. Let it solidify as your own individual consciousness. In a month from now, it can be really your own. If you should try to teach it right away, you would be teaching only what I've said. But if you will wait a month or 2 or 3 and let the words of it go around and around in your own consciousness until you catch the inner vision of what takes place here, then it will become your own. You won't teach it then in my language, in my words, or use my experience. It will become your individual unfoldment of the same truth. Now, now about this teaching, it, metaphysics, you cannot teach the letter of the truth and get far. In metaphysics, the teaching is the impartation of spiritual consciousness. Unless the teaching has actually become my own consciousness, you will not be able to take it in. In other words, if I give you something that I've heard or read or memorized, it will cause no response within you. The only truth which you will receive in consciousness is that which is a living part of my own being. You will catch the fire of that, and it will take root in you. Therefore, you cannot succeed in teaching this until it's first taken root in you and become the very fiber of your own being. One of the sad things in metaphysical practice is that we make statements to ourselves and to patients which we have not really demonstrated within ourselves and which have become no part of our consciousness. Suppose we say, there is no error. Now, there is no more profound truth in the world than the statement, there is no error. And in the very voicing of it, the whole mortal universe should collapse. But it doesn't. Over and over, we hear it said, there is no error. Yet the old world goes right on in the same old way. Why? Because it's not had the idea embodied in consciousness. A practitioner may say to a patient, there's only one life, and that is God. This thing is the Christ appearing. This suggestion is not a reality and is no part of your being. When the practitioner has the conviction and the consciousness of that, very, very often the error disappears. The disease, the sin, the lack disappears. However, if the practitioner merely repeats what he's heard and what he's read in books and has remembered and is only hoping and wishing it were true, that will have no power. No, the things of God are foolishness with men. We must now add, the things of God are foolishness with God. The things of men are foolishness with God. Try to remember that when you take any of your human problems to God, you're making yourself ridiculous. The minute you try to think in terms of a sick body being made well by God, or of unemployment being solved by God, or of a war being stopped by God, or of your favorite candidate being elected by God, that is rankly foolish. The things of men, the things of this Adam dream, this world existence, are unknown to God. That is what makes healing possible. Disease has no real existence. Inevitably, what disease and distress hit up against, when they hit up against a consciousness that knows this truth, they fall because of their own nothingness. Another thing about this class, in the Christian Science field, a student gets to go through class instruction with only one teacher, and he never again can go through the class unless for some reason that teacher is set down by the Mother Church organization. The result of this is partly good and partly bad. But if you happen to get one of the really fine teachers, you are set. This rule keeps you from wandering all over and getting from teacher to teacher aimlessly. Normally, you will stay with that one teacher until his teaching and instruction has taken root and become a part of your consciousness and has externalized itself in harmonious affairs in your world. The bad part of the rule is that in the event you do not get one of the good teachers, you miss out for life and must go through the rest of your human experiences without being properly taught. The only thing you can do is pray that you will be reincarnated and then have another chance with another teacher. Now, in the metaphysical world outside of Christian Science, you have the opposite extreme. You have no supervision. You are free to come and go and run here and there. The result is that there is a continuous running back and forth from one teacher to another and then again to another, often without giving any one teaching a chance to take hold in consciousness. This does not permit any teaching to really implant itself in consciousness. That, of course, is the bad side. That is where liberty comes down, sometimes to license. We must have liberty, but we must also use it wisely. In my particular work, there's no rule one way or another. There's no rule limiting anyone to this teaching or to these classes, nor is there any rule that prevents anyone from going through the classwork with as many different teachers as they may wish. But I would like to say this from the standpoint of my 18 years of experience in teaching and imparting unfoldment. Try not to be one of those who run back and forth from teacher to teacher and teaching to teaching, from book to book. Yet I do not mean to limit yourself. Go to those to whom you feel drawn. Sit at the feet of the master and take it in. But give it a fair chance to do something within your own consciousness. Then, if you find it has not met your need, do not run immediately to the next teacher coming to town. Pray to God. Go within your own consciousness. Pray, Father, lead me to the one, to the teacher, to my teacher. Then when someone appears on the scene and you feel drawn to this teaching, or if you find a book and say, this is my message, go ahead. It is in the line of progress, your progress. But always remember that teaching and being taught in the spiritual world are activities. The import and purpose of this teaching is to unfold your soul to your individual being. It is to unfold and develop the soul capacity of your own being. You must select a teacher of metaphysics with much more care than you would select a voice teacher or a language teacher or a dramatic teacher. You should select a spiritual teacher with the same care you select a mate, a profession, or a religion. There's nothing more sacred than the spiritual teaching. There's nothing that will do more to lift you and me out of our mortal, material sense of life than correct spiritual teaching. For the teacher, this is a sacred ministry. Teacher must so live as to be able to impart divine realities. As I've said before, that can be done only from a state of consciousness, which is acting it and living it. On the student's part, it is a sacred ministry in that it means the development of his own soul. It means lifting one out of the dangers, diseases, lack, and limitations of mortal existence. How very careful you should be in the selection of your teachers. Be led of the Spirit. Do not on the one hand feel restricted or limited so that you feel when you've been through one class, you never can go through another with another teacher. On the other hand, do make it a matter of sacred right, the search for this spiritual teacher. Then when you have some instruction or have found a book, sit still with it for a while. Give it an opportunity to work within you. The mere reading of a book or listening to a teacher will not reveal the depths of the message. The subject of this week's classwork is Consciousness Unfolding. That is the title of this class. Consciousness Unfolding, your consciousness, God consciousness unfolding individually as your consciousness. Consciousness unfolding means God revealing, God disclosing itself to you. Infinite, indivisible consciousness revealing itself as individual consciousness. Unfolding, disclosing itself as individual consciousness. Now you will recall that spiritual consciousness is the consciousness from which world beliefs has disappeared in some measure. You will remember that Christ consciousness is the state of consciousness which no longer reacts to something in the outer world. Therefore, classwork is an individual matter and must be attained through individual effort, your effort. There can be no such thing as the success of this class. It can only be the success of you as an individual, and that success will come about in proportion as you attain some measure of spiritual consciousness. Now let us make a beginning, because this is something that must be experienced, not told, and you are the one who is to have the experience. You are infinite spiritual consciousness. You are the law unto your own experience. Nothing external, nothing existing as effort can have power or jurisdiction over you. You are the law unto it. Therefore, when you love, hate, or fear something in the external, you are hypnotized into a state of mortal consciousness. We look at a dollar bill as money. In the human picture, it is, of course, the most sought after thing there is on earth. First money, then sex. These are the things that the world, as a human world, goes after ferociously. Mortal consciousness, material consciousness, sense consciousness means putting value into this dollar bill and saying, this will do so much for me. But spiritual consciousness pays no attention to it. It says, supply is my individual consciousness. It is the God consciousness individualized as me. Therefore, regardless of what my need may seem to be, whether a dollar bill or a yacht, it must unfold from the infinity of my consciousness. Therefore, I take no thought either for a dollar bill or for a yacht. You have to learn to take the attitude that you have to practice it until it becomes a reality. This attitude is not humanly natural. It is something you are beholding. A child will throw a $20 gold piece out of the window because he's not yet learned to put a value on such things. His sense of value is love, the love he has for his mother and father. That is his supply, and he knows it. And as long as that love, that bond is there between child and parent, the daily clothes, the home, all come along as a matter of course. Their love is a child's sense of supply. Only as he grows out of this sense of love will supply become 50 cents or $1 million, with the parents no longer in the picture. We must go back to that sense we had in our childhood days. The master told us that we must be as little as a little child. So let us come back to the point where we no longer see the dollar bill, but begin to see that love, consciousness, spirituality is our supply. That as long as we have the presence of love, we will have all these things added unto us. So there is one step in the unfoldment and revelation of God, divine consciousness appearing as love and meeting our so-called human needs. You can see that for a while, every time you handle money, you're going to have consciously to remember that it is not supply, that it is the effect of love. It is the effect of the presence of God appearing as your consciousness. You will, in this way, gradually develop yourself to the point where to you a dollar bill is not the reality of your supply. A Hindu couple took up the spiritual life and with their begging bowl set out upon the way. One day, while walking along the road, the husband in front and the wife just behind him, the man bent over, picked something up from the dirt, rubbed it on his robe, and put the object in his pocket. The wife quickly came to him and asked what he had found. He showed her a diamond. Her rebuke was swift and sharp. We are living the spiritual life. In what way is the diamond you kept of greater value than the dirt you rubbed off? Value is not in the diamond. The value is in our consciousness, which is the substance and the form and the principle and the law unto the diamond. As long as I exist and I is God, I will be the law manufacturing in whatever form is necessary that which is my need. We now go on from here, following along the same idea. Someone out here says, I am sick. Give me help. Please follow me here. In this work, you're going to have to give up much of your old way of working if you're to succeed in that which I am showing you now. We are going to part company here with the old system, forms and thoughts which in the past we've entertained about healing work. Heretofore, when someone has said, I do not feel well, you've immediately denied it, perhaps. Now we're going to learn not to deny it. We are not going to deny it. We are not going to put up a wall against illness. Instead, we will say, what about it? Is it power? Is it a presence? Is it a reality? Or is all power the consciousness of the individual, which is the law of healing? And this growth, or this pain, or this lack out here, is it a law? No, it is not. And so, right from the beginning, we're going to realize that with every claim, with every call that is made upon us for help, we might say to ourselves, so what? Anything that will help us to agree with our adversary. The healing principle, remember, is agree with thine adversary. You cannot fight anything that you agree with. You cannot wrestle or battle with it. The moment you fight it or wrestle or battle, you are setting up an adversary rather than coming into an agreement or an at one-ment with what appears to be error, but which is in reality only an illusion, if there could be reality to an illusion. Actually, the moment you fight or battle error in any form, you've set it up, and there is no telling how long the healing will take. The only instantaneous healings are the ones that take place when the consciousness of the practitioner knows, is convinced that there's no power or presence to that thing claiming to be erroneous manifestation. Is there such a thing as healing possible while you're believing in or healing the condition? No. Healing comes in recognition that the consciousness of the individual is God, or that God is the consciousness of the individual. Thus, the consciousness of the individual is the law unto every condition. In Bible language, he that is within, he is greater than he that is in the world. He that is within, he is greater than he that is in the world. Follow this consciousness, God, the consciousness of the individual is always the law. It is always the presence. It is always the reality. And even if something does appear externally, even apparently concretely, it still is only effect. As effect, it cannot be law. As effect, it cannot be cause. As effect, it cannot be power. No effect in the world has power over another effect. That's also spiritual law. No effect in this world has power or jurisdiction over another effect. Consciousness is given all power. All power is that which comes from on high. God gave man dominion. In other words, God, universal consciousness, gave man individualized spiritual consciousness. All power over everything that exists in the realm of effect, whether a tiny flower or a great big planet in the sky. The moment you acknowledge something in the realm of effect as having dominion over you, you've made that a law for yourself and you suffer from it until you reverse that stand and realize that it is impossible that I, the fullness of God made manifest, the infinite Son of God, I, of whom God said, all that I have is thine. It is impossible that this I should be at the mercy, should be a victim of anything in the outer realm, or of anyone, or any condition, or any set of conditions. As you realize that God, infinite divine consciousness, is the consciousness of the individual and is the law unto the universe, only in that degree do you take possession of your life and have some degree of mastery over it. Otherwise, you are the victim of some form of government, some amount of dollars, of germs, infection, contagion. Only in the degree that I can realize my oneness with God, only in the degree that I can realize that I, right here, am the very presence of God acting as a law unto my universe. Only in that degree can I take charge of my existence. Now, to give up fear of anything in the world of effect is the first step in attaining Christ consciousness. This Christ consciousness has no fear of a disease or a sin, no error, no horror of it. It just says, neither do I condemn thee. Go, sin no more. What hinders you? Pick up your bed and walk. And why? Because in this way one agrees with the adversary and acknowledges that the only power is the consciousness of the individual. I want you to see this, that where God is, I am. That I and the Father are one. That the place whereon I stand is holy ground. And that if I make my bed in hell, I, God, will be there. And that I am right there is a law unto anything appearing as the external universe or as the universe of effect. Therefore, I say that success in this can come to you only in the degree that you are willing to begin putting this into practice by night and by day. So that every time you see a dollar bill, you will say to yourself, I am wise to you. I won't get hung on that nail anymore. And every time you see in the external scene sin, disease, lack, limitation, instead of jumping in to give it a treatment, just laugh and say, "No, sir, you're not fooling me. You exist as an effect of some kind or other, but you're not only the tracks coming together." Excuse me. You are only the tracks coming together. And if I could see you as you are, the tracks would be in their place, all right. My eyes are not fooling me anymore. Do not give treatments. Do not give treatment to God and his universe. And there is no other. Pray without ceasing. Prayer is the unfoldment of your own consciousness. Prayer is God disclosing itself to you. Prayer is God revealing its truth to your individual consciousness. The spiritual universe must now unfold itself to you. You must not be concerned with what is going on in the human world. By this, I do not mean you to hide your head in the sand. We will go about our affairs, doing things according to our highest sense of right. But we have no concern as to how it comes out after we have lived up to our highest sense of right. Always remember this. There is an unseen, invisible universe that from now on must disclose itself to you, because from now on, that is what we are seeking. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. It does not say diseased blood and diseased flesh. It does not differentiate here. It just says flesh and blood. Nothing that exists as a form can inherit the kingdom of God, can come into the awareness of the kingdom of God. Nothing that exists to your mortal sense can ever be brought into the kingdom of God. So there is just no use trying to improve human conditions. We are dedicated now to another purpose. It is to the unfoldment, the revelation of God and the spiritual universe unfolding as our individual consciousness. There is an infinite, invisible universe. There is a world of spiritual ideas. Strangely enough, this world has no relationship to what you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. What we identify out here in this world of sense is the distorted view of the individual, of the divine ideas, of the real universe, which is seen through a glass darkly. Seen through a dark glass. Yes, it is that world itself out here, but seen through a glass darkly. Yet right where you appear to be, God is. Right where every bit of this mortal phenomenon seems to be, the spiritual universe is. We are but beholding it through a glass darkly and calling it mortal and material. In its real essence, it is spiritual, divine. That's why we do not have to give treatments. Will you believe me if I tell you that nobody in the whole history of metaphysics has ever changed one condition of reality with all of his treatments? Do you believe me that not one single improvement has ever been made in the entire spiritual realm through treatment? Treatments of themselves are of no value, but prayer is. Prayer is the disclosing of the divine reality to your individual consciousness. Turning within, watching, always listening for the divine reality, that is the secret of spiritual living. And that is the secret that ultimately discloses to us God as our individual being. It is this consciousness, God, unfolding, disclosing, revealing itself as our individual selfhood. And in this exists only harmony, peace, joy, power, and dominion. And so let us take that lesson in and begin to practice realizing our dominion. We are that I. Nothing in the human world is has spiritual reality except our connection and acknowledgement of God being ourself, our life, our true identity. And so let us enter the temple, put into the first room all of our external material things, all our possessions. Empty your pockets, take off your jacket, step out of your clothing. Let that be your symbolic releasing everything material, your job, your possessions, your home. When you've done that, letting go all the material things, putting them aside, step into the next room and let go of all the physical things and mental things, your body, your physicality, aches and pains. Set them all aside. Maybe there's a chair in the room. Maybe there's a hook on the wall. Put them aside. Let go. Take all your mental cares, everything you've identified with, your career, your intelligence, your emotions, your hopes and dreams, what you think you know about this world and the way it operates. Put that aside and rest with that I. I. When you finish that, enter the last room full of light and love, pure spirit, and let it wash away all the remnants so that you are God appearing. I. Let that I become so familiar with it, this feeling that you can go here anytime. Within a few breaths of meditation, you feel it. I. I am that I am.